Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about our best tips that we can give you to avoid the crowds. And to join me for this discussion, we've got Mrs. Michaela Porter,
Hi.
wife to the one Mr. Stephen Michaela Porter.
Hello.
And Mr. Craig Williams in the back there. The man that makes it happen. Okay, so we're going to dive right in here. Best tips to help you avoid the crowds at Walt Disney World. And the first tip we have is, and this one's more of an honorable mention, but attending an after-hours event. Now, Steve and Michaela, have you guys both done one of these?
I've not done after hours. I've only done the Halloween and Christmas parties.
But Steve, you have done one,
Yes. And it was a little while ago. It was in the Magic Kingdom, and the park was super empty. And I don't know how much it's changed since I went, but you basically could walk onto any attraction, and you had some unique picture opportunities. You could walk down in that corridor of the Magic Kingdom between It's a Small World and Peter Pan and literally like stretch your arms out, which you can never do in a normal park day because there was no people there. I think if you really are someone that's claustrophobic, even though we didn't include this as a tip, like Rhino said, because it does come at an additional cost. And we tried to keep these tips not as things that cost more. But if you are someone that has bad claustrophobia but love the Disney parks, it might be worth, shelling out that extra buck.
Also, if you only have a certain amount of time on your trip and you want to hit a certain number of experiences, it's something to look into. But I would, depending on what park you want to do this in, look specifically at what the offerings are, because at Animal Kingdom, you won't be able to do the safari and some other offerings there. But at Magic Kingdom, there's a lot of attractions, and so those are all open and operating and stuff like that. But I think we've all had pretty good experiences at after hours parties.
Don't you get free ice cream too?
You do.
Unlimited ice
you are
cream?
paying for it,
Well, okay.
but you get ice cream.
Ice cream is included.
Water, soda, popcorn too, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's basically if you want to have a short to no wait for all the e-ticket attractions, that's what this is for. So if you can't get a Slinky Dog reservation, you can't get Flight of Passage, you can't get Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, like all those tough to get ones, if you can't get them, it's all there for you. Like you mentioned, Safari's not there. Well, I don't think anyone's ever struggling to get a fast pass for the Safari, so maybe you are, but probably on like New Year's Day.
I just like to see the animals.
I know, you love the animals.
I am going to go on the Rhino experience soon. So that's our tip there. But like moving into the tips that don't really cost you money, one of the obvious ones, and we've said it before, is kind of you should avoid the peak season. So try to go for the off season, which is really kind of slipping away. It's kind of always busier, but there are these windows of opportunity where there's less people in the park. So it's just about kind of really doing your research on that and maybe knowing that part of the trip might be busier than another part or something. But
and also this is maybe the difference between crowds and horrible crowds, where it used to be the difference between like little to no crowds and crowds. So at least you can knock yourself down from extreme crowds to normal crowds.
Well, and obviously avoid holidays. Like even if there's not necessarily an off season, there is a
Horrible
not
season.
Christmas Day or Christmas week season.
And 4th of
Or
July.
4th of July, yeah.
yeah,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, holidays are. Well, like sometimes like Thanksgiving, if you go right before Thanksgiving, it can kind of be a slow season. So it's kind of like, but don't be thinking coming right at that holiday, you're going to be like, this won't be busy at all. No, people crazy. We also suggest visiting, going to the parks like really early in the morning. I know sometimes it's a pain to wake up and get there for rope drop, but if you can crank through some of those attractions that usually get the longer wait through the day, it opens up later in the day to go on the shorter ones. But then also if you like, Michaela, we were saying like leave during the day to take a rest at your resort or just, nap wherever, the streets. I don't know.
The people mover.
Come back at night because a lot of people, whenever the big show is over, if that's not when the park closes, they'll still leave.
So yeah, you're not doing a Disney vacation to relax. I mean, you're doing it because you want to. I mean, some people do. They'll plan trips where they don't want to do parks at all, just check out everything. But the average person wants to go and they want to do everything. They want to hit the parks that they know and love. So you sacrifice being exhausted, being up early in the morning and staying out late at night, and you're going to get everything done that you want with minimal craziness. So
Yeah.
Before I lived here, I was like such a believer in going back to your hotel and having a NASA nap. We would like rope drop the parks, go back to the hotel, have a nap, and then be able to stay out
Yeah.
even for extra magic hours.
Oh, but yeah, no, I think that's what my family did. I'm sure Steve's did something similar. I think it's what the most people do because it's good, but there's a lot that don't take advantage of it.
Well, another thing to take advantage of is the weather. In Florida can be pretty unpredictable sometimes, especially in the summer. Well, I mean, unpredictable, but it's going to rain every single day, and it can clear out a park. So if you're willing to kind of stick it out somewhere in one of the parks, you could end up being able to some attractions and experiences close due to lightning or heavy rain, but the second they let up, you could shoot right into one of those rides or experience a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, a good example of this, me and Michaela were in the parks with another travel agent, Kat Martin, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't remember. I'm terrible at time. But we were in Animal Kingdom, and we were in Dinoland, and it just poured. And we literally met all the Donald Duck characters that are there.
Yeah, we met like 9 characters within like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there were no waits. We walked right up to Chip and Dale and Goofy and Pluto.
Yeah.
And the rides didn't have very long waits either. I think Flight of Passage was like 40 minutes, which for that ride is really low.
Yeah,
That really is.
So, I mean, we were drenched,
Yeah.
but if you're fine with getting drenched, then...
And I would say also, going along with that, not the same but close, pay attention to what attractions are currently experiencing downtimes. If it's something like if you find out Space Mountain went down and it's like going on an hour and it still hasn't come back up, chances are at that point they cleared the line. There's not going to be people in there. So if you then go and refresh your app or see on the wakeboard that it's back up and going, you might be able to jump in before all the other crowds get there and rush over to it.
Yeah.
So that's for the insane level of tourist, and you're out there.
Also, if it's really cold, people tend to. I've noticed like they're slower getting ready. So that's another time that the morning's going to not be very busy because it's cold and people are waiting for it to warm up. And the same with the nighttime. They're just going to stick to their resorts usually on those days. And those are great days to visit the water park too. Ask yourself, what's the coldest temperature I can be in that water and enjoy myself? You'll be surprised.
That's...
Yeah, I mean,
That sounds like a good way to get sick.
and they basically close it if it's like below 70 degrees. So.
I know, but if it's right at 70, go.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So we also, specifically for Magic Kingdom, we've all found that on the day of a party, a Halloween party, or Vicky's Merry Christmas, Mickey's, whatever it's called, that during the day, the park can be pretty dead because everybody... A lot of sometimes a money-saving tip is they buy the ticket to the party for that night, so that only gets you access into the park like a couple hours before. So the earlier you get into that park that day, the emptier it's going to be.
I'm just imagining
Vicky,
someone named
so.
Vicky hosting a Christmas party now.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a full house themed Christmas party event with Vicky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get engaged during the fireworks?
You absolutely do.
I for some reason thought Vicky Vale, like Batman's girlfriend, was the one hosting the party, so it's very dark.
I just want to point out that is the second time in 3 weeks that we've had a Vicky getting engaged to Danny Tanner during a Best and Worst show.
So if you're a betting person, you need to put the money on the house.
Yeah, I would put all your money on a full house.
Oh, gosh.
Regular Stavros in the back there. I also have found another tip to avoid the crowd is, I know the first day of festivals, you're like, oh, I'm excited. I want to go. I want to experience it. If you do not like crowds, do not go on the first day. Avoid it on the weekends. Go during the week. Festival of the Arts, Food and Wine, all that sort of stuff. Always a lot less busy during the week.
And even during the day, especially.
Yeah. Well, and I also...
At night, they fill up.
And I find that on those days, too, the other parks are lighter because everybody's going over there. So if you are avoiding where the big draw is, you're...
I think it's
better off
due to the fact that especially the weekend and night whole thing is that the festivals do attract a lot of locals and APs that are
They
there.
have to get off work before they can go to the parks.
Yeah, they're getting off work and then going to Epcot. And so, yeah, if you try to go in the middle of the week, maybe, in the daytime, it's not going to be as bad.
And then our last one, a big tip, is skipping the fireworks or the parade. So not every night, obviously we think you should see it during your Disney vacation. But I'll tell you, when I went for a DVC party at the Magic Kingdom last week or recently, we had to walk, I had to check in on the other side of the Magic Kingdom in Liberty Square, and it was a nightmare to walk over there. It was a cluster to the point where I was like, this is definitely a safety hazard. And there were cast members trying to separate people and create walkways, and it was just like, oh man, if you do not like crowds, you would never go back ever again. If you were, claustrophobic or anything like that. So the crazy part is, though, the rest of the park was empty.
Yeah.
And you could watch fireworks I could still watch the fireworks, but I watched them in Liberty Square, and they were just right there all around me. And yeah, I missed the projections, but I've seen that version of the show, so seeing it a different way is cool too. But that's also hop on a ride, go on Thunder Mountain or something like that.
I remember when I worked in the college program that not only did I know the fireworks were going on, because you can hear the booms and the fireworks exploding, but I remember also being at the merge point where Fast Pass and the standby line meet, and you can it's so much easier when the fireworks are going off because there's so many less Fast Pass people coming through at that point, because people that have Fast Pass, sorry, my stomach's like gurgling, so many people are coming through so many less people are coming through Fast Pass that the standby line moves a lot quicker, because people that have Fast Pass are like, well, I don't want to use my Fast Pass while the fireworks are going off. Let's stick for the fireworks, and then right after the fireworks, we'll get in line.
Good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, that is our tips that we have for our best tips to avoid the crowds. That was skipping the fireworks and parades, avoiding the first day of festivals and going to one of the other parks, going to the Magic Kingdom on one of the days of the parties early in the morning, taking advantage of the weather, both good and bad, visiting early in the morning, staying late through the night, coming during the off season and avoiding those peak seasons, and of course attending the after hours events. So thank you guys for having this discussion. Thank you all for listening and watching out there. If you are listening on iTunes, please feel free to rate and review the podcast. If you're watching, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can click that bell, get notified whenever we upload content on the Unplugged channel. But that will do it for this episode, and we'll see you next time with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World.